Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today we're navigating an incredibly challenging yet profoundly important subject, the SS.
Indeed. It's essential history.
We've compiled a stack of vivid sources, including some really powerful documentary excerpts. These have rare interviews, with former SS members themselves.
Which is fascinating hearing it directly from them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to try and peer into the incomprehensible. How did a group of men transform into Hitler's fanatical killing machine?
Yeah.
We'll explore their origins, their deeply held beliefs, their chilling path to power, and the devastating legacy they left behind.
It's a deep dive, all right.
It is. Into ideological blindness, really, and the erosion of humanity itself.
And it's vital to acknowledge, as you said, that these sources offer direct accounts from people inside the SS. Now, while disturbing, that perspective is just crucial for understanding the historical context.
Right.
And maybe more importantly, the mechanisms behind their actions. Why did they do it?
Which leads us, to that central question. How did an entire organization become so utterly devoted to such a destructive ideology? So, let's begin our exploration.
Okay.
Okay, let's start right at the very beginning. So, 1933, Central Germany, the SS, the Schutzstaffel, or protection squadrons, they officially emerged.
Mm-hmm.
You'd recognize them instantly, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Those chilling skulls on their caps, the lightning flash initials.
Iconic. In a terrifying way.
Our sources described them as volunteers who, by their own criteria, saw themselves as superior Nazis. Utterly unafraid of death, they said, neither inflicting it nor suffering it.
That's quite a statement.
It is. And we hear from Werner Fuldner, for example. He was a former member of the SS Death's Head Division. Just 9 when Hitler took power.
Wow, 9.
Yeah. Decades later, he still knew the Nazi Party's official song by heart. He recalled this military aspect that fascinated him as a boy.
The rituals, the parades.
Exactly. Sharp standing to attention, clicking heels, saying, "Hail Hitler." For him, the outlook was just, get the job done.
And that individual story, Werner's story, it highlights a critical point from the sources. The fertile ground for this kind of organization.
Right.
It was really laid by Germany's deep-seated national humiliation after World War I. Specifically, the supreme humiliation, as the sources call it, of the 1918 Versailles Treaty.
That treaty, it stripped Germany of border regions, designated them solely responsible for the war.
Solely responsible. It just bred this profound sense of grievance,
Yeah, you can see how.
And that perceived injustice, it was severely compounded by the economic nightmare of 1920s Germany.
Oh, absolutely. Rampant unemployment, pervasive poverty.
And the indignity of the French and Belgian occupation of the Ruhr in 23 over war reparations. Just one humiliation after another.
So when SS members later tried to justify their crimes.
Exactly. The sources reveal they frequently pointed back to these tribulations of the 1920s. Nazism, they believed, gave them back their dignity.
Transformed them from on our knees, poor and miserable.
To suddenly we were somebody again. That narrative of restoration, it was incredibly powerful.
And here's where the narrative takes a really chilling turn. Their initial targets, not necessarily who you might expect.
Right.
The SS first focused their anger on the communists. They labeled them anti-Germans, accused them of betraying the nation with the 1918 revolution.
The stab in the back myth.
Precisely.
Yeah.
But the sources make it starkly clear that this hatred quickly broadened. The abhorrent view took hold that the Jews were the real enemy, worse than the communists.
Worse than the communists.
Yeah. Hitler's own manifesto claimed Jews profited from German misery. They were hiding everywhere, behind Russian communists, behind New York capitalists.
It's pure conspiracy theory, but deeply effective propaganda.
And the SS meticulously cultivated this image of exclusivity, privilege.
Definitely.
Formed back in 1925, Hitler's personal bodyguards, right? They quickly became known for their dashing black uniforms, seen as an elite formation.
The look was important.
Hugely. New recruits faced strict requirements. Had to be tall, at least 5'6", young, under 23, and critically, demonstrate no Jewish ancestry.
And they needed proof.
Genealogical details going back to the 18th century.
Incredible.
So becoming part of the SS wasn't just joining a force. It was a clear path to a successful career, a successful life.
Status.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Women were reportedly very interested in them. Marrying an SS member was considered an honor. They were even known as the Black Order.
That phrase, Black Order, it evokes medieval knights, doesn't it? Some grand historical destiny.
It does.
And this emphasis brings us to a crucial aspect of their identity, their sense of belonging.
Yeah.
The sources highlight how SS members, like Kurt Buchan, who was interviewed at 92, they focused on the purity of the person, a healthy family, understanding how our ancestors lived, what has made real Germans of us.
So it wasn't just the uniform.
No, it reflected Heinrich Himmler's core ideology drilled into them. You are nothing, your people is everything. They truly saw themselves as the racial spearhead of the German people, tasked with this almost, well, sacred duty.
Which brings us squarely to the rise of Heinrich Himmler, the SS chief. A truly pivotal figure in this whole dark history.
Absolutely central.
The sources describe him as one of the greatest criminals of all time.
Yeah.
An early, ambitious Nazi. Despite a, cultivated middle-class background, he was virulently anti-Semitic, anti-communist, anti-Christian.
Fundamentally opposed to so much.
He quickly caught Hitler's eye during the Beer Hall Putsch back in 1923.
And his rise was, well, irresistible, as the sources say.
Within 10 years, he commanded 50,000 SS. Not really through charisma, was it? More through this chilling blend of calculation, ruthlessness,
and unswerving loyalty, demonstrated horribly by the Night of the Long Knives, June 30th, 1934.
Yes. Himmler convinces Hitler there's a plot by the SA, the original stormtroopers,
his own comrades,
and orchestrates their massacre, including their head, room. This fratricidal purge, it basically granted the SS autonomy.
A power grab through violence.
And by 1936, this uncharismatic man, as they call him, becomes chief of police for all of Germany, controlling not just the SS, but the regular police, the criminal division, the Gestapo. Hitler called him Faithful Heinrich, and under his hand, Germany truly became a state under police control.
It shows how, in these totalitarian systems, power can be consolidated through just strategic brutality and, well, political opportunism rather than actual popular appeal. And this absolute consolidation of power, it was underpinned by this unwavering demand for obedience.
You hear it in the quotes.
You do. SS members saying things like, when you are a soldier, you have to carry out orders, you're not there to think.
And that chilling one, leave the thinking to the horses, they have bigger heads.
Just uncritical obedience. It was central to Himmler's blood and soil creed.
Right, rooting German identity and racial purity in ancestral lands.
It sought to replace Christianity with a new race-based religion, complete with its own rituals like child baptisms led by SS officers.
Crucifixes replaced by Hitler's portrait. A total re-engineering of, well, everything. Spiritual, national identity.
Everything.
And this control, it extended deep into their personal lives, even into, the most intimate choices.
Yeah, the sources mention this.
The SS actively promised its men healthy, smiling wives. Wedding plans had to be approved by the SS Racial Service.
Controlled breeding, essentially.
Women were sent on Nazi Party courses for indoctrination. SS members were expected to marry by 26, first child by 28, another every 2 years, aiming for at least 4 children.
Wow.
Himmler saw these women as Nazi combatants themselves, just procreating future SS members, believing that the individual dies, but through his children as people will grow beyond life.
A horrifying vision of the future.
So what did this actually mean for an ordinary German growing up in this environment?
The indoctrination.
It went incredibly deep. The sources reveal it clearly. Egon Kuhn, former SS man, Viking Division, he described his radicalization starting in infant school.
Really? That young?
Eating sweets for children with swastikas on them. Wearing my swastika armband at 5. By age 10, the uniforms and the Hitler salute was quite natural.
Just normal life.
He confessed to deeply hating Jews, echoing all the propaganda, viewing them as not of our race, an abomination. Crooks, traitors, lazy, obsessed with money, cutthroats.
The standard vile stereotypes.
And youth organizations provided military training, like a modern, ancient Sparta, preparing them for unquestioning service.
This narrative just clearly illustrates the insidious mechanisms of brainwashing at play, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
The sources show children being conditioned with insidious fascist ideology and hideously anti-Semitic racist messages on a daily basis.
Songs about the extermination of the Jews being sung, even before it was explicitly on the agenda.
It's hard to fathom this twisted worldview portraying Germany as a perpetual victim, not of its own actions, but of its Jewish communities.
Yeah.
We even hear from an Austrian SS member who, despite claiming he committed no crimes, still maintains a shrine of Nazi memorabilia and uses this metaphor about mixing good apples with pears to justify his belief in racial purity. Decades later.
It shows how propaganda can just warp perception, rewrite reality, permanently for some.
It really does.
And Hitler's popularity wasn't just built on this pervasive ideology, was it? It was built on what many Germans saw as a genuine miracle.
Economic recovery, yeah.
The sources state that 6 million unemployed found work in just 5 years. Through increased aid, state leisure activities, massive rearmament, building projects.
But how's it funded?
Crucially, largely through the confiscation of Jewish assets and massive government debt.
Right. Stealing from one group to give ostensibly to another.
For the SS members interviewed, this economic turnaround was just irrefutable proof that Hitler had accomplished what he had promised.
Blinded them.
Totally. Some even stated Hitler was the man of your life 100%. This perception of economic salvation just utterly blinded so many to the regime's growing atrocities.
It's a potent combination, ideology and perceived prosperity.
So with power consolidated, indoctrination set, the next stage was establishing this regime of terror.
The camps.
In 1933, the initial focus for SS-run camps was isolating political opponents without trial.
Not yet extermination camps, but places of fear.
Exactly. We hear from Hera, a former SS woman guard. She was 21, ordered to guard a concentration camp. When she refused.
What happened?
She was starkly told she'd be sent to the camp herself.
So
she complied. Witnessed brutality, prisoners beaten, forced to stay outdoors.
Horrific.
She admitted, I turned away, I didn't look, couldn't watch that. Even then, the SS was inflicting this chilling regime of terror.
That denial, that turning away, is part of how it happened.
The depravity described, even in these early accounts, the systematic inhumanity. It's almost beyond comprehension.
It forces you to confront the darkest corners of human behavior, doesn't it? How do people rationalize this?
Yeah.
And connecting this to the bigger picture, the gradual escalation is truly chilling. Kristallnacht. The first large-scale open massacre of Jews. November 9th, 1938. Less than a year before World War II kicked off.
And the same night, many SS men, including one Eckhard Heder mentioned in the sources, swore their oath to the death to Hitler.
The symbolism.
Across Germany, almost 100 Jews murdered, shops smashed, synagogues set on fire. Himmler even ordered firemen to let them burn.
Let them burn.
Some SS men were filmed smiling amidst the destruction.
Smiling.
Yet many SS veterans interviewed later claimed they didn't understand why at the time, or insisted they were anti-Semitic, but not in the sense, implies the extermination of the Jews.
That disconnect again, between action and acknowledged intent. It's a recurring, deeply disturbing theme in these accounts.
So then, World War II breaks out, September 1939. The SS role intensifies dramatically. They played a crucial role in faking a Polish provocation to justify the invasion.
The Gleiwitz incident.
And the Waffen-SS, the armed SS, fought alongside the regular army. Believing their sacrifices on the front line gave them the moral right, they thought, to lead the repression back in Germany.
A twisted sort of justification.
For men like Manfred Diener, a 16-year-old baker's son, joining the Waffen-SS offered social advancement, an ideal world.
Escape, maybe? A sense of purpose?
Perhaps, but once in the Black Order with those blood group tattoos under their arms, there was no way back.
Marked for life, literally. And delving deeper here, we encounter the sheer brutality of the war of extermination unleashed on the Soviet Union, June 1941.
Operation Barbarossa.
Explicitly targeting Jews, communists, and any individual suspected of opposing the Reich. Special mobile killing units, the Einsatzgruppen.
Made up of SS, police, local auxiliaries.
Formed to systematically murder Jews and other perceived enemies right behind the front lines.
Industrial-scale killing, but mobile.
SS General Jekyll later hanged for over 100,000 murders. He used this horrific method called sardine packing at Babi Yar.
God, I read about this.
Executing more than 30,000 Jews, men, women, children, laying them on top of one another in ditches, shooting them, burying them in layers.
Layers of bodies.
One Ukrainian SS soldier was described shooting through a mother and child's heads together, saying, "One bullet."
One bullet.
Yeah.
The efficiency of evil. The scale is just impossible to grasp.
It really is.
It's natural to ask at this point, how? How do they rationalize such atrocities?
The sources give some insight, disturbing as it is. They didn't see themselves as criminals, but as victims.
Victims? How?
Believing there was a huge Jewish conspiracy against us, that classic perverse inversion.
So killing children was?
Justified. In their twisted logic, the children would grow up and become potentially dangerous Jews.
It defies reason. Hans Fetisch, an SS infantry brigade member, confessed to murdering thousands of Jews.
And felt what?
Stated he felt nothing while firing. Only focus was to aim well. He attributed it to a strong hatred for the Jews from childhood, though even he seemed unsure of the ultimate reason for it.
Just ingrained hatred, maybe without even a clear why anymore.
Which leads to this truly disturbing development,
Right.
the one that became the final solution.
Himmler's ultimate goal.
To wipe out 11 million European Jews. He appointed Reinhard Heydrich,
That man with the iron heart,
as chief of the RSHA, the Reich Security Main Office, to manage this extermination. Heydrich, described as the ideal SS man, cold-blooded, athletic, terrifyingly efficient,
The architect.
meticulously created files on millions, categorizing Jews into several racial groups. This formidable system, the sources call it, unequivocally the first step towards extermination.
Bureaucracy enabling genocide. And the sources highlight this perverse contrast here.
Yeah.
The immense murderous tasks they were engaged in versus the luxury and privilege these new Nazi lords enjoyed.
Right. While Heydrich governed Bohemia and Moravia from Prague Castle, his wife felt like a princess in a fairy tale.
And Hans Frank, Poland's governor-general, living in another castle, his own son, Nicholas Frank, described the SS guards as mediocre individuals, despicable middle-class scum who had everything.
Indulging in orgies, apparently, to forget the crime-filled atmosphere?
That detachment, that ability to live in opulence amidst such monstrous deeds, it just reveals this profound moral abyss.
So, as the Einsatzgruppen proved, I guess, insufficient for the scale Himmler wanted.
And they needed something more. Industrial.
He sought a new solution. Experiments with toxic gas had already killed 400 mentally ill prisoners back in '39.
The T4 program.
And gassing, they concluded, was a gentler form of death, particularly for the killers.
Think about that phrasing, gentler for the killers. It's horrifying insight into their psychological calculus.
In just a few months, the FS set up a new network of death, transforming Europe into a morgue, antiseptic and efficient, with dedicated death camps.
Belzec, Sobibor, Treblinka, and Auschwitz.
Auschwitz. A sprawling 470-acre complex became a central slaughterhouse. The SS guards there, they partially delegated the daily horrific tasks to deportees, the Sonderkommandos.
Content just to survey events and keep their hands clean.
Photographs taken by an SS guard, unbelievably, they show the systematic arrival of prisoners, their immediate sorting by doctors.
Life or death decided in seconds.
The young and healthy to work, the rest killed within hours.
It's particularly difficult to reconcile these stark facts with the almost total denial from many former SS members, even decades later.
Like Oscar Groening.
Oscar Groening, yeah. The Auschwitz SS accountant, he claimed he was disgusted by the massacres, asked for a transfer.
I'll bet.
He also described Auschwitz itself as like a small town with its gossip and rumors, with a grocery, cinema, theater, sports club, joyful and lively.
Joyful and lively.
His words. And when asked directly about the massacres, many Waffen-SS who weren't even there just don't believe it happened, say the word Auschwitz doesn't exist.
It's just inadmissible insults to the victims.
Yeah.
This persistent historical revisionism.
It underscores the enduring power of self-deception, of ideology. It's deeply troubling.
So fast forward to July 1944. Hitler barely survives an assassination attempt. The Normandy landings are underway.
The tide has turned.
The Third Reich is undeniably crumbling. Hitler dramatically scales up the deployment of the Waffen-SS, calls them frontline firemen.
Throwing fanatics into the fire.
On the Eastern Front, their leaders gave them chilling orders. Better kill 1,000 Russians too many than one too few.
Total war. Scorched earth.
This mentality led to unspeakable atrocities. The DOS division assassinating 642 people in Oradour, France, just wiping out a village.
Men, women, children, burned alive in the church.
SS soldier Gore described seeing civilians hanging from trees and lampposts, just utter barbarity.
Which brings us to this critical question about the nature of their fanaticism, doesn't it?
Even at the very end.
Especially then, even as their demise was an absolute certainty by late 1944, the sources show they hung on nevertheless, clinging to this belief that Hitler had miracle weapons.
V-rockets.
They were sent to the front with no weaponry, swamped on every side, yet they swore that we'd die for the homeland.
It suggests an ideological blindness so profound
that it made them unable to imagine their Führer's demise or their own. What does that tell us about the human mind when faith in a leader just completely eclipses all tangible realities?
it's terrifying. Then, January 1945, Himmler, in a desperate attempt to erase the evidence,
Hide the crimes.
orders the evacuation of Auschwitz. Thousands of Jewish deportees who had somehow survived the gas chambers loaded onto trains bound for Germany, often in freezing temperatures, the death marches.
More horror upon horror.
When the Allies finally liberated the camps, they discovered the full, horrific extent of the massacre committed by the SS.
Numbers are staggering.
6 million Jewish victims. Hundreds of thousands of other prisoners assassinated: homosexuals, priests, Roma, Sinti, disabled people.
Anyone deemed undesirable.
Many of the 40,000 SS guards tried to escape capture, some disguised as prisoners in striped uniforms.
The irony.
But most were identified by that blood group tattoo under their left arm, a mark they could never wash off.
Their own system betrayed them.
Remember Hera, the former female guard? After liberation, she was made to bury victims.
What did she say about it later?
50 years later, not one word to say about the dead prisoners. Instead, she insisted she was the victim.
Victim? How?
Lamenting having to use urine to wash her hands, stating, "The concentration camp ruined my life. I was just a simple guard. Do you feel guilty?" No, me personally, I knew I could do nothing for them.
That lack of repentance, decades later, it's truly chilling. Just no remorse.
Man.
And it's indeed disturbing to see this persistent denial, this rationalization, even after the war. In POW camps, many SS members were still just as fanatical.
Still believed.
Some were sentenced to death, but often dismissed as the justice of conquerors, pointing to Allied bombings of German and Japanese cities as some kind of equivalence.
What about ism, even then?
The documentary calls the idea that Germany certainly committed crimes for sure, but they've all been punished. A myth.
A convenient myth.
Some veterans blamed Hitler, claiming he betrayed me, but many others declared, "I have no regrets, no way." And chillingly, if I had to do it all again, I'd do exactly the same thing.
That's hard to hear.
It points to an ideology so deeply ingrained, it proved incredibly difficult, maybe impossible, to dismantle for some individuals.
The sources show this diverse range of post-war paths for former SS members, don't they?
They do. Some, like Eckhard Heder, Ehard Gore, Egon Kuhn, they explicitly repudiated their past, became a pastor, an army officer, a trade unionist, spoke tirelessly about their brainwashing.
Trying to make amends, perhaps.
But many remained incorrigible and nostalgic, joined Waffen-SS veterans associations that, shockingly, still exist today.
Still exist. Wow.
Manfredina and Kurt Bakken speeches are still used by extremist networks. Herbert von Millenberg maintained ties with notorious revisionists, Holocaust deniers.
The network persists.
Even Oskar Grüning, the Auschwitz accountant, was only sentenced in 2015. 4 years in prison for complicity in the murder of 300,000 Jews. It just highlights the long, long shadow of justice and accountability.
Took until 2015.
Yeah.
So, as we close this deep dive, it's profoundly clear, isn't it? The SS wasn't just a military unit. It was a psychological construct, an ideological one.
Born from national humiliation, yeah.
And fueled by this potent mix of grievance, charisma, propaganda, and that promise of renewed dignity and power.
A toxic brew.
The transformation of ordinary people into perpetrators, the casual cruelty, the persistent denial of reality. It's all profoundly disturbing.
And the individual stories from these sources, they really reveal that complex interplay. Personal ambition, societal pressure, ingrained ideology, and the terrifying capacity we have to rationalize unimaginable actions.
It makes you think.
It raises an important question for us today, doesn't it? If the SS represents the extreme end of what happens when a society becomes ideologically blind, when it dehumanizes others.
What are the warning signs?
Exactly. What are the subtle indicators in our own societies today that we should remain vigilant against? How do we ensure that the lessons of history, however painful, are truly learned and, crucially, remembered?
That's the challenge. We've truly gone deep today, and there's so much to reflect on here.
A heavy topic, but necessary.
We hope this exploration has given you, our listeners, a clearer, if sobering, understanding of the SS and the forces that shaped their world. Thank you for diving deep with us.